was standing in front of the mirror in my room. Just a regular dress, nothing fancy. I picked it up on purpose so I'd look nice without overdoing it. I had just finished fixing my hair when my door suddenly flew open and my mom burst in. "What are you wearing? This is a total disgrace." She didn't even let me speak and just tossed some clothes at me. "Put this on." Mom stuffed me into this ancient dress that probably hadn't seen the light of day since the 90s. She put a scraggly, stinky wig on my head and rubbed all my makeup off. There, that's better. I stared at myself in the mirror and thought, are you kidding me? And yes, I know what you're thinking. How did she even end up like this? Alright, let me explain. My name's Sarah. I'm 17 and I was born into a wealthy family. My dad was a hardworking, smart man. He ran his own business. And my mom, well, she was his complete opposite. Always chasing parties, flashy brands, and the spotlight wherever she went. Since I was a kid, she always dressed me up like a little doll. Dresses, glitter, purses, hair clips, you name it. It wasn't that I hated it, I just preferred curling up with a biology book or watching medical videos. I've wanted to be a doctor since I was a kid, but mom didn't care what I wanted. When I got older, everyone started complimenting me. Neighbors, my parents' friends, even strangers on the street. "Wow, you look like a real model." I didn't really care, but I could tell my mom got tense every single time. "Oh, Sarah and I, we're just like sisters, right?" "Really? I thought you were her grandma." That was the first time I saw my mom's face literally twist with anger. But then everything changed. Dad got really sick. The doctors did their best, but it wasn't enough. He passed away. For me, it was a nightmare. I felt like I'd lost the one person who always understood me and had my back. To cope, I buried myself in books. I read everything I could find about medicine. It helped distract me and gave me a little strength to keep going. And Mom, well, she was grieving, but in a totally different way. She was more upset that our luxurious lifestyle had come to an end now that Dad was gone. She'd never had a job and had never even considered working. She blew the little money we had left on clothes, parties, and beauty salons. In the end, we were left with almost nothing. That's why I got a job as a waitress at a small cafe. Between school and work shifts, it was exhausting. But I knew if I didn't earn a living, nobody else would. Because Mom, she had no intention of getting a job. Instead, she went on a hunt, looking for a wealthy husband so she could slip back into the life of luxury. Things between us got really bad. I felt like she saw me more as competition than her own daughter. Then one day, she met some producer, a man in his 60s, a wealthy widower. He lived with his son Josh, who was about my age. Naturally, Mom was over the moon. "Sarah, we're having dinner at his place. We need to make a good impression." I didn't really want to go, but I had no choice. That dinner went nothing like Mom had planned. The producer barely even glanced her way. "Sarah, you've got such a unique kind of beauty. You could definitely make it in showbiz." I couldn't care less about that. I never pictured myself on stage or on a runway, but that comment blew Mom's fuse. I saw her eyes burning, not with joy, but with anger. After that dinner, things got really bad. Mom acted like she wanted to destroy everything about me. She wouldn't let me use makeup, took away all my regular clothes, and the worst part? She made me put on that awful ragged wig. "Stop showing off. You should be modest." But I knew it wasn't about modesty. She was just jealous. I started to ask myself, why am I even living with her? We'd never had a normal relationship, and now, even less so. So I decided to save up and move out. I picked up extra shifts at the cafe. It was tough, but it gave me hope. And then, one day at work, I ran into Josh, the producer's son. Honestly, I immediately got the feeling he didn't like me. He ordered a burger and a Coke, and when I brought it over, he looked at me with contempt and said, "You're the daughter of that woman. I bet you're hoping to land a rich guy too?" I clenched my teeth but stayed silent. He clearly thought I was just like my mom. But a few minutes later, something strange happened. Josh started eating and suddenly began choking. At first, I thought the food was just too spicy for him, but then he grabbed his throat and his eyes were bulging. People froze. Someone pulled out their phone and started recording, but no one did anything. And then I realized he was choking on a piece of burger. Without thinking, I jumped up to him and gave him the Heimlich. Once, twice, and the piece came out. Josh could finally breathe again. The whole room started clapping. "She saved him!" I was just standing there shaking, feeling my heart race. And Josh looked at me differently, not like before. When he looked down on me as if I were just like my mother, there was something in his eyes, like respect, maybe? I didn't even know how to react, so I just went to clear the plates from the tables. In the evening, while I was home trying to finish my homework, someone rang the doorbell. Mom ran to answer it, and the producer walked in, carrying a huge bouquet of roses. Mom, of course, lit up instantly, straightened her shoulders and started fluttering her eyelashes. I could already tell what she was thinking. These must be for me. But the producer walked right past her and gave the flowers to me. Sarah, thank you for saving my son. I don't even want to think about how things would have turned out if it weren't for you. I mumbled something like, oh, it was nothing, while Mom stood nearby looking like she'd just been punched in the gut. When he left, the house was silent for about 10 seconds. Then my mom snapped at me. Can you just stop showing off? Act like you're invisible. Got it? I wanted to say that it wasn't my fault, that his son had almost choked to death, but I didn't say a word. The next day, my mom drove me to school. And of course, just my luck, as soon as I got to the entrance, everyone started treating me like some kind of celebrity. Hey look, it's Sarah, the one who saved that guy's life. Someone even tried to take a selfie with me. Mom was sitting in the car and saw the whole thing. I could practically hear her grinding her teeth. She wanted me to be invisible, but instead, the exact opposite happened. A couple of weeks later, I was in for another nasty surprise. I was scrolling through social media when I stumbled upon a post. Some anonymous account had posted photos making it look like I was stealing money from customers at the cafe. The pictures looked so real my legs went weak. So that's who she really is? A phony hero? I was shaken by the comments. My hands were trembling. Word spread through the school in no time. I was called into the principal's office and, of course, they called my mom. She showed up all businesslike and proceeded to make a scene right there in front of the principal. Didn't I tell you to be invisible? This is exactly what happens when you try to stand out. I almost started crying, but as soon as we stepped out of the principal's office, my classmates surrounded us. Sarah would never do something like that. That's all a lie. I didn't even know what to say. Mom just snorted and left while I stood there with red-rimmed eyes. After classes, I had another surprise. Josh showed up to see me. I heard about those photos. You know what? They're fake. He said he'd sent the pictures to some friends who know a thing or two about photo editing. They checked and confirmed that the photos were fake. Plus, Josh discovered that the account that posted them was registered under the name of an old friend of my mom's. As he spoke, my classmates gathered around us, right in front of everyone. Josh showed all the proof, messages, photo metadata, everything. Afterwards, everyone clapped, and I felt this huge burden lift off my chest. I'm not going to expose my mom. Let it stay between her and her conscience. After that day, Josh and I started spending more time together. First just casually, then as friends. And then I suddenly realized I really liked him. One day, we were sitting together in the park. My dad and I don't exactly see eye to eye. He only does what he wants. I started telling him that your mom's just after his money, but he wouldn't listen. So, why don't you just walk away from him? You're almost an adult anyway. Honestly, I'm used to this life. The house, the cars, all of it. I'm just scared of losing everything. I didn't say anything then, but I thought, guess I'm the same, living with my mom even though I hate it. A couple of days later, the school decided to hold a charity concert. They needed to raise money for the hospital. I wasn't planning to perform at all, but a few hours before it started, the girl who was supposed to sing got sick. Sarah, you've got to help us out. All right, I'll give it a try. So I went on stage and started singing. I wouldn't call my voice amazing. I just love music and sometimes sing at home. But apparently it went okay because the audience gave me a standing ovation afterwards. A couple of days later, a video from that concert appeared online. It spread fast and everyone started commenting. Oh, that's that girl who saved that producer's son. And she can sing too. And of course, Josh's dad saw my performance as well. I could make her a real star. My mom nearly exploded. Her eyes were literally shooting lightning bolts, all because no matter how I tried, I still ended up in the spotlight. And that's when she came up with the plan. Her face was so smug that I immediately got wary. Sarah, you need a job. I've arranged for you to go to a small town and work at a motel. At a motel? Why? It'll be a good experience for you. But I knew perfectly well that this wasn't about gaining experience. She just wanted me to get out of the way, get me to some backwater town where no one would see me. And that's how I ended up in a small town, working at some old motel. The job, well, it wasn't exactly easy. I had to clean rooms, haul bedding to the laundry, greet guests, some of whom were strange or always complaining. But I worked hard because I knew this was a chance to save up money and make a life for myself. And then one day, while I was wiping down the reception desk, I heard a click. I turned around and saw a man with a camera. Do you mind if I take a few shots? I didn't know what to say. You have a really captivating look. Okay, I guess that's fine. He took a few photos and left. I completely forgot about it. But a couple of weeks later, my coworker brought in a fashion magazine. Sarah, you're on the cover! I looked at it and honestly freaked out. There was my photo with the headline, "A regular girl who redefined beauty." I stood there thinking, how did this even happen? Popularity hit me out of nowhere as if I'd been chasing it. But the truth was, I was just cleaning countertops. You might be wondering, where was Josh during all this? I've been talking to him all this time. He was the only person I could be completely honest with. We shared what was on our minds, vented about life, and of course, hoped that one day we might actually be together. Dad saw you on the magazine cover, but he's got other things on his mind right now. He's marrying your mom. Apparently, Mom realized that trying to make me invisible was pointless, so she took another approach. She got plastic surgery and looked so much younger than she could almost be mistaken for me. That's when the producer started noticing her. I just sighed in relief. Well, at least now she'll leave me alone. I continued to live in that small town, thinking about my education. Since returning to my old school wasn't an option, I chose to take the GED, a test that proves you have a high school level education. I studied in the evenings after work and eventually passed. When I got the results, I nearly cried. Finally, I had a chance to go to college. I rented a tiny apartment not far from the motel. Nothing fancy, a tiny kitchen, a pull-out couch, and a desk for studying. It was small, but it was mine. And that feeling, that I was finally in charge of my own life, made it all worth it. One day, a man in a suit came to my motel and said he was from a modeling agency. He said he had seen the magazine cover and wanted to invite me for a photo shoot. I politely declined. Thank you, but I'm planning to go to college. I want to be a doctor, not a model. He looked at me like I was crazy, but I knew what I wanted. One evening, someone knocked at the door. I opened it and there was Josh, a backpack slung over his shoulder, looking a bit exhausted, smiling. I left my dad. We were sitting in the kitchen drinking tea and he told me everything. After the wedding, my mom immediately started setting Josh up. Sometimes money would go missing. Sometimes rumors about him would start spreading. It was all so obvious, but his dad still wouldn't listen. I tried confronting him again, but he only shouted and took your mom's side. That's when I knew I had to leave. That's how Josh ended up living with me. His life became simple. He picked up odd jobs and was also preparing for college. You know, without my dad's money, I finally feel free. I'm not afraid of losing everything anymore, because I basically have almost nothing anyway, and it actually feels good. We both settled down somewhat. Life is easier now without endless fights and drama. We went for walks, made dinner in my tiny kitchen, and laughed until our sides hurt. I hadn't felt this happy in years. One day, I came home and found Josh looking sad. He was sitting at the table, holding a letter. What happened? My dad passed away. I sat down next to him. We were silent for a while, then he handed me the letter. Josh's dad had written it for him before he passed away. I'm sorry, you were right. I was wrong. Marrying that woman was a mistake. You were my only heir. He changed his will and left everything to Josh. Naturally, my mom was furious. She went to court, but lost. She didn't get a thing. I thought maybe now she'll understand that money isn't everything. But no, she went right back to looking for a rich man. I realized she was hopeless, and I carried on with my own life, preparing for college, working and spending time with Josh. Sometimes I contemplate all the hardships I went through. The humiliations, the wig, moving from place to place, the motel job, the fake pictures. It was not for nothing, because I realized something simple. You can't hide kindness. Even if someone tries to make you invisible, the light always shines through. And that's probably the most important thing life has taught me.